Hello and welcome to the Otaku Objective. Today's objective is to be lazy, I guess. Does that sound good?
Lazy sounds good.
Okay.
Play an invisible keyboard.
I have to play the invisible keyboard or the music doesn't happen.
And really, it should be an invisible guitar, because I'm pretty sure our theme's like a guitar riff, right?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Okay. I forget.
I forget what our theme is.
Yeah. I don't listen to our show. What are you talking about?
Oh, okay.
Oh, dear.
So, as you can tell, we're a little slap happy. A little loopy. That's a good word. So this we just recently did several panels at NandisCon, which was the 13th through the 15th of September. I remember because it was Friday the 13th that it kicked off.
The monsoon on that Friday.
The monsoon in Colorado.
Yeah, that was an interesting time. Eric, do you want to explain the thought process behind submitting 5 panels?
Right,
to
sure.
The
You guys talk about that.
Yeah, I forgot whose idea it was, but we're like, we went to last year's convention, 2012's, and we kind of walked away thinking, hey, we should do some panels, you know? And we wanted, so submission time comes around, we were meeting, talking about what panels we run on. We had a fairly long list that we ruled things out, like that's not going to be interesting, that's not going to be interesting. People have overdone this panel. Finally, we get down to about 5 panels, and we're like, oh, let's just submit them all. Some of them will get rejected.
And I was like, you guys understand that if you do 5 panels, that's gonna be all you do at the convention,
and we said
right?
we said we understood, but I don't think we understood.
No,
really,
you didn't understand.
We didn't
at all.
believe, you know.
You didn't get it. You're like, oh,
they'll be fine.
They'll deny some of them,
Yeah.
and it'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Yeah. And there's a 6-hour limit on the amount of panels you can run. You can only run 6 hours worth of panels. With our 5, we hit that limit because a couple of them were an hour and a half long. So we were submitting the maximum we could as a group. So.
Oh my goodness. And that was some crazy times.
So if you couldn't determine this by now, all 5 got approved.
Right.
Yep.
We thought for sure they'd deny some of them. No. They apparently all of ours sounded interesting. I think a lot of them were not as interesting as they sounded.
I think a lot of them went pretty well. I think some of them didn't go as well as we'd hoped, but we did work pretty hard on a lot of them. So hopefully people enjoyed them. It was our first time running any panels at all. So I think that was probably too many panels for our very first year running panels.
I think so.
I think we're all in agreement on that. And I do kind of want to apologize for the Get Off My Lawn panel, because I feel like we were really unprepared for the amount of people that were there.
Right. And how much feedback. It was kind of surprising how much audience participation, which was great. The unwarranted participation kind of screwed up our rhythm, but now we know it's something you live, learn, and figure it out.
how to deal with all that.
Yes.
What we want to do in the future, so hopefully we can make it more fun.
That's what we started off with on Friday night, right?
Yeah, the Get Off My Lawn panel. So hopefully, like, in the future, we will not do 5 panels.
Yes.
That would probably be good.
Yeah,
and we'll have a little more focus, and also not be doing all of these panels for the first time.
Right.
You know.
Right. Definitely. I think. Would we be willing to say that next year we're not going to introduce any new ones? Will we just be?
I don't know.
I'd probably.
I'd want to bring back a few. I think the You Don't Know Jack went really well.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Eric did a bunch of he did a bunch of programming. And
oh my goodness!
Pretty much
programmed an entire game.
Just about replicated the original You Don't Know Jack game.
It was really cool.
Like, I know, like, first of all, you did like some amazing animations. I know that you're aware that they're not like the same level of animation as like the Xbox, but they're probably the same level of animation as the original computer game.
Right.
Yeah. I was amazed.
Yeah, it was really good. It was like more than I was expecting. I just wanted, look, we just need button inputs to work.
No, it was a fun experience doing it. You know, I've been programming since I was in like middle school. What got me into programming was wanting to make computer games, but then I eventually learned, like, oh, you work 60-hour weeks and it sucks, so I'm not going to get into that.
Right.
So I ended up becoming a web application developer. That's actually for a job I've done for a while, a lot of web development, and then in doing this game, I've had to brush up on .NET programming, something that doesn't exist in web application development is multi-threading. Like, I have to have multiple things have to happen at once.
Right.
With this kind of computer game, which is something completely new to me. The animation, I could make image rotators in Flash prior to this project. Now I know ActionScript and how to do motion tweens and a bunch of other crazy stuff. So it was definitely a ride. Another fun one for me, which I took the lead on, was a copyright and censorship.
Yeah.
I was happy that as many people showed up as they did.
Oh man, that whole room was packed.
Yeah,
I was really surprised.
Yeah,
I was really pleased with that.
I think we hopefully educated some people, and they seemed engaged. I was very happy by that. It was pretty much just reading. I probably spent 3 or 4 nights just reading case law, Wikipedia articles, editorial, news articles, all to get ready for this.
Like plenty of material to do a whole nother panel if you wanted to.
Yeah, so that was pretty. It was a different kind of fun doing. It was very like, oh, this is something I'm trying to teach people, trying to share knowledge, and so that's a different kind of fun.
But I felt like it took its toll on you. There was some
some
tweets and emails in the middle of the night, like, did you know Article 3 of Section such and such?
And we're like,
no.
Yeah, you know
what?
Those, when I say I worked a lot, like 4 or 5 nights on this. This was 4 or 5 nights till like 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Nothing beat the You Don't Know Jack game. And I worked for 21 hours straight one Saturday.
God, I couldn't.
Yeah,
the amount of work you put into that.
Yeah.
So let me just kind of give you a broad walkthrough of our days at NondisCon. So we get there Friday and we're just kind of hanging out, and I don't remember if we went to any panels. I think we went to the opening ceremonies. Yeah. Well, at the opening ceremonies,
you guys were working on the PowerPoint.
The PowerPoint for Get Off My Lawn. We were just adding notes, really.
Yeah.
It was all done, but. Yeah, we were basically doing that. I think Amy got a picture of us doing that.
Yes.
Which maybe we'll post. So we're working on that during the opening ceremonies, and then and it's first. And I got to tell you, that was the one I was most nervous about, and we have to do it first.
Yeah,
which was kind of a blessing and kind of awful at the same time, because at least we got it over with. But at the same time, it's like, we haven't figured out our rhythm yet for doing these things, and I honestly did not know how that one was going to go.
Yeah, and I felt kind of bad for all. Like, it was a big room and it filled up, and I was like, "Oh."
It was the second biggest panel room, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a conifer, I think. So,
yeah. It was pretty full. We had a lot of trouble with the microphones. Like, someone had to stand up at some point and says, "We can't hear you in the back," and I felt awful.
Because we were probably the first panel in that room,
yeah?
I think so.
Maybe.
So they probably hadn't tweaked everything yet.
Yeah.
And it was just getting used to how those microphones work versus mine, which, like, picks up sound from everywhere.
And those microphones there, you have to really lean in close. Right. Depending on the microphones, some rooms were a little better about it, but...
So we get that. We actually had some people talk to us after it that said they enjoyed it, and that was kind of cool.
Yeah, but I think we were kind of shell-shocked. We were like, oh, what just happened? I don't know what
you walk into the room, and it's completely empty, right? You're the only people in there. It's like, okay, you guys are setting up. There's a staffer there helping you and whatnot. Finally, you ask, are you guys ready? We're like, yeah. And then just people just come in.
And there's just more people.
And they keep coming.
It's like, oh, God.
So
that's one thing I want to mention really quick is that the non-Discon staff was always really helpful and really awesome. Like, whenever we had a question or needed help with something, like they'd zip off and go find something and bring something back. They were great.
The event staff is awesome. I don't know if you guys were there, but
especially considering all they had to deal with that weekend. But yeah.
So I was talking to one of the event staffers, and they apparently don't have an area director. They just have like the main director, and that's it. So they run themselves.
Wow,
so that's very impressive. Yeah, they were a rock star team. I definitely have to send out my kudos to the non-Discon event staff. They're awesome. So.
Yeah, definitely. Then like an hour after our first Get Off My Lawn panel, we had the copyrights and censorship, which is another one I was kind of nervous about.
Right.
Because like Eric wrote the whole thing, and it was dense. And because there's a lot of copyright that I had to go through.
Right.
And I kept like, I need to read this. I literally did not ever get to read it. I never let myself read it at any point. So Eric's like, well, you do this part and I'll do this part. And all I can do is like read slides.
Right. And so there's, unfortunately, my bad on that too, is there was a lot more to say that I wanted to put in the notes and just never did.
Mm-hmm. Well, you guys just didn't have time.
Yeah,
with the You Don't Know Jack game and everything coming up, it just ran out of time.
So I let Dan read when I needed to take a breath, Yeah. So then, then when he was done, I'd fill in the details. And again, there's a lot to go over, a lot of case law examples, a lot of history behind it too, which is actually what kind of surprised me by it all, is how much history I was able to dig up on how these laws have evolved over time, which was one of the things that added to the fun of it, was do a little bit of history learning behind it. So.
Yeah,
definitely.
Then after that, I can't remember if I feel like I went to bed after that.
It was a fairly late panel.
It went till 10, I think, and then we talked a little bit after that, and then we just were like, well, should we do anything after this? And we're like, I don't know, and we just stumbled off.
And that's the other thing, we had to get up at 9 o'clock, before 9 the next day to run the Otaku Dojo.
Yeah, because we had an early panel that morning. Because we told them we're fine with running early panels, we're fine with just don't put panels at the same time, and they didn't, which was nice. They didn't schedule. They were very nice.
They actually were very nice about our schedule, because we had like 2 right next to each other Friday night. We had one Saturday morning and one Saturday night, and then one Sunday morning. So that meant that for the most part, the middle of the days, we were wide open to do whatever we wanted. But we did have
to get up early on Saturday and Sunday to make sure that we were there for the panel.
And then Otaku Dojo, that was our, like, what happens if this character fights this character.
Yeah. And I feel like I came away from that, like, feeling way better about it than you two did. Like, I was watching the audience and stuff, everybody was getting, like, really engaged and stuff, and I feel like you two kind of felt like
I was focusing on
things were kind of falling apart.
I was focusing on the two people arguing and trying to keep them from actually coming to physical blows with each other. I think the system needs to be tweaked a little bit, but I'd like to try that one again.
Yeah.
There's actually several fights. So one of the things is I put together a bunch of intro videos for all of the characters, and I was feeling bad because there were a bunch of fights we wanted to get done, and I could only get, I think, 5 fights done, which is 10 character video intros, which is a lot. But that's, like, I felt bad that I couldn't get more done, which is kind of ridiculous. And honestly, we only had time for 3.
Yeah.
We really did. The fights ran a lot longer than we were expecting. But this was the panel that was really kind of up in the air. We didn't know how long any of it was going to run. Yeah. We had no idea how it was going to go or how we wanted to run it. Right. We had to kind of see how people were going to take it before we saw how it was going to kind of mold.
Right. Speaking of rhythm, I was really happy with our timing on the Get Off My Lawn and the Embracing Otakudom.
Yeah,
we timed those so well.
Oh, yeah.
The copyright and censorship were a little rushed towards the end just because it was so dense. And then Otaku Dojo and Jack, we didn't know. It was,
right.
Because it depends so much on other people that you just can't control.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought we did a really good job with the You Don't Know Jack one, though, because I recall when we were figuring this out, we were like, I think we've got time for 3 games. Let's make a 4th game just in case. And that's pretty much how it worked out.
Exactly. And honestly, if the game hadn't have crashed, we probably wouldn't have been so pressed for time.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I just, I mean, this is going back to Otaku Dojo. I just want to give the person who argued in favor of Dark Mercury a prize for hanging in there. Thank you so much. Yes. I apologize. That was a really tough to fight.
Yeah.
You did a really good job.
It was, I
appreciate it.
Yeah, we had Dark Mercury versus Homura.
Oh,
Homura can stop time, so I mean, you really got to know.
Homura can stop time, and
Mercury.
She had a really enthusiastic person debating on her behalf. So I appreciate the person who gave it a good go for Dark Mercury, because that was my favorite character, and I wanted I was hoping for at least a good argument, and it went. It was a good introduction, and it went pretty well, I thought. So
my favorite was the Hawkeye versus Bash. Yeah. I think those two did a really good job, especially considering it wasn't a front-up, head-to-head fight.
It was very tactical based, and it turned out to be really, really interesting.
I do wish we had a little more time for it, but I guess honestly, it might have worked out better being a little pressed for time, because then they couldn't just hang out and snipe at each other for half an hour.
Right. So there's a lot of things I want to explore in fixing that game, maybe doing time limits per round, doing an hourglass. Go. Explain your attack. I think we need
a whistle.
A whistle. I thought the idea of making character sheets and having action points.
Right.
Oh, that might be cool.
Yeah, I like the action points idea. Basically, we would kind of give you a list of things that you can do, and then there's an extra one that's you can make this up, but the judges will decide how many action points it takes.
Right. Because then we could rein people in when Homura wants to duct tape C4 to somebody. We could rein them in a little bit.
So we'll discuss it and try to figure out good ways to go about it next year.
Right. That's definitely on my list of things I want to bring back. Yeah. We'll probably maybe bring on some of our friends and then play test it a little bit, try to work on a good system. Yeah. I know Aaron's volunteered to help us make it cheat proof. Because he is
the perfect man for this.
Yes. He's a big our
definitely friend, need him as a playtester.
Yeah. Yes. My friend Aaron's a big Champions fan, and Champions is a role playing system. It's all numbered based, and he's worked out every possible way to get that extra inch in those kinds of games.
Oh, wow.
So he's offered to help us already. So we could once we could come up with some systems, we could bring him, maybe Chris Brennan, everybody, and do some play testing.
So right after that, me and Amy went and watched the K-On! Movie. Yeah. Which that was a perfect wind down for
after all of that. Let's just watch some girls go to London.
Let's just watch Japanese girls go to London and be cute.
And play their instruments and play some rock music.
And play their instruments in a sushi bar because they don't know English. And
they don't know that they don't have to play to get sushi. So that was fun.
Was that during the Funimation panel? When was the fire alarm?
That was afterwards. It was before. It was a little bit before noon. And then after the K-On! Movie, we had some lunch, or basically we had some snacks that counted as lunch.
Me and Amy were hanging out in the hotel for a while, and then I went downstairs to wait in line for the dealer's room. And I think you went to wait in line for Funimation. Yeah. I was going to join you there, but something happened, and I just lost my place in line. Yeah. I think I left my badge behind because I kept forgetting that.
You kept forgetting your badge in the hotel room.
Yeah.
So, and then
the fire alarm occurred.
Then the fire alarm happened.
I don't remember what I was doing before the Funimation panel, but I was in line for the Funimation panel. We get in. He has a chance to the guy who was running it was the lead of their social media. I forget his name.
I think I wrote it down actually. It was Justin Rojas, I think.
Yeah, he did a good job running it, at least little by little. He could run the panel. Yeah. He gets into maybe one. I think he starts talking about the One Piece movie, and then next thing you know, beep, 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 the fire alarm goes off. Man. Everyone kind of, for a good 30 seconds, everyone's looking at each other. Should we leave?
Yeah. We waited in line for this panel.
Right. I'm right next to the door, so I get up okay, I'll be the guy who starts the exodus.
Starts the exit.
So I stand up, And the staffer there is like, watch the door, and he runs off. So I'm holding the door, like, what am I supposed to do? Finally, another staffer comes up, hey, I got this, so you leave. So,
you're like, okay then.
Watch the what am I supposed to do? Watch people leave? I don't know what I was supposed to do.
Well, I'm sure that they were kind of like, oh, jeez.
So anyways, so we all left. Fire trucks came. Apparently someone was spray painting in the hotel room. Probably.
And it set off the alarm.
Oh, probably last minute costume stuff.
Yeah, so that set off the fire alarm. So
and I was actually trying to take a nap, so that didn't go very well. Yeah. I wanted to take a nap before I headed down for the AMV overload, mostly because like Dan actually had a music video get into it, so I wanted to see it. But you know, after the alarm and everything, I didn't bother for any of that. Oh well.
Quick aside, that music video will be available on the website, along with all the rest of my music videos. If you have been looking at the website, they link to those videos on the website. They link to YouTube, and they don't go anywhere anymore. I decided to take them all off YouTube after getting 2 copyright strikes. So I'm just going to put them up for download, basically. You just download them straight off our server.
That sounds good.
And then...
and the one that you got up at NondisCon hasn't actually been on YouTube yet, really.
Well, it was on YouTube for a week.
It was for a week, and then
it was my first copyright strike.
Yeah, so I mean, it hasn't really been seen too much. So
and that's basically it's Madoka Magica to Iridescent by Linkin Park.
Yeah.
I thought it came out pretty good.
It's really awesome.
Have you seen it?
I think so.
We showed it to you once, like a while ago.
Okay. Yeah, because I went to go look for it, and of course it's down.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
I'll show it to you right after this. What I wanted to say is during the fire alarm, I was actually, like I said, I was waiting in line for the vendor's room, which actually went outside. So I was already outside when the fire alarm went off, so my experience was people were leaving all of a sudden. And I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah. I heard the loudest beep as soon as I laid down. And then I was like, what? And then someone came on the intercom saying it is not a fire drill and that we needed to evacuate. And I'm like, oh.
And yeah, I saw people on their room balconies just chilling out. I'm like, I wouldn't be on my balcony. I wouldn't advertise the fact that I ignored the fire alarm.
Yeah, I mean...
Well, it's loud if you stay in the room.
Another thing I'd mention that, hey guys, if you're going down the stairwells, don't run down the stairwells, please. Some of us can't run very quickly down stairwells and don't really appreciate it when you're like zooming down there. It's not great. No. So I almost got knocked over by a couple of people.
Yeah. Orderly evacuation.
Don't panic. That's
I don't think they were panicking. Yeah. I think they were just being jerks. So.
Well,
watch how fast I could evacuate.
I'm not really sure why.
There's anime fans hopped up on sugar in anime.
Yeah, I guess. So I don't really know why that was happening, but whatever.
Yeah. But I mean, once we got outside, I thought everyone made the best of it. Like there were tons of people in costumes. So like all of a sudden, they were just like
they were doing
more pictures happening.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, oh, finally we have so and so next to so and so. Quick, get a picture.
Right.
Yeah, I saw some really good Facebook photos that came from the fire alarm.
Yeah. So we all we text each other. We all meet up by the guy with the big yellow head.
Yeah, he was Earl of Lemongrab from Adventure Time.
Yeah.
Eric's just like, look for the big guy with the big yellow head.
Yeah.
I don't know if he understood he was a landmark. But thank you, Earl of Lemongrab.
Yes. And may you always be screaming.
Yeah. I make it back to the Funimation panel, and he's just blowing through his PowerPoint, skips all the trailer videos.
I felt so bad for everyone who had something going on during that hour. That's pretty rough.
Yeah, I wanted to talk to him about the Otaku objective, but he was just in such a hurry to get out of there. I'm like,
they're usually pretty.
You talked about the Funimation booth, right?
Yeah, a little bit. I got some information from him. Let's see, and then we returned to all of our panels after. Like me and Amy decided, well, let's go to the vendor's room. it was the perfect time to go through because I wanted to clear it out.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like it wasn't because the line went outside and around the hotel, but then as soon as they started letting people in, it cleared through really quickly.
Yeah.
And then, unfortunately, we saw the corner of the vendor's room, which held, like, this guy who makes the most fantastic figurines and customizes them.
Yeah.
And
we got ourselves a Madoka figure from Madoka Magica. It was based on the Madoka Ultimate figure, which is already pretty expensive, and then this guy added a bunch of customizations to it.
Is really
But
good.
the one I really wanted, like, it's a good thing it was sold because it would have been dangerous if it wasn't. Like, I don't know. Amy usually keeps control of our budget and does a good job, but I think that she would have been like, tough. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe $1,000 isn't a good idea for
maybe
this.
We could do it. I don't know. Yeah.
But it was this.
It's hard sometimes.
The chick from Read or Die, whose name
Yomiko Reedman.
Yeah, Yomiko Reedman.
Her last name is Reedman.
I know, right? And just it was just this amazing statue where she was standing on like some buildings, and he had done up this huge wings made out of paper for her.
The paper were pages from the manga.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was gorgeous.
It was beautiful, yeah, and then we would have fought over it.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we need to find.
Actually, if
page, I forget.
if me and Amy had not been, if it had not been sold already, and me and Amy were like, I don't know, we probably would have said, like, let's get Eric. Yeah. Because then we could visit it.
Yes.
Yeah, seriously.
We could do time sharing on or something.
We're going to put a link to that guy's
Facebook
page.
Because he doesn't have a website or anything. He just he makes these, goes to conventions and
but
sells them.
He's always at Non-Discon, always in the same corner. So we'll put a link up on our website.
We actually buy his art, like, every year. Yeah. Like, for the past 3 years, we've bought his art. Because, like, we love it. So
yeah, we have several things framed in our house from him right now.
So, but I think this is the first year he's done figures, if I remember correctly.
I think so.
Not first time he's touched so many. Maybe he's had one or two, but this year he had a ton. He had like a Chi, I think. He
posted up pictures, a bunch of pictures of them right before the convention. Yeah. So yeah, we'll have a link up under the post.
So yeah, and then right after that, Eric's like, okay, we gotta play test the You Don't Know Jack game.
Yeah, because
which we're doing at 7:30. We're doing at 7:30.
Yeah.
You guys had like 2-3 hours maybe.
Yeah, I think by that time it was about 4:00.
Right. Yeah.
And then we start playing it, and we're finding bugs like all over the place, and Eric's gotta fix them.
Yeah, so I'm there hacking the code.
He's like hacking the code. I'm staring at it like I kind of understand what he's doing, and I'm like, is that right? He'll say things out loud just to think out loud, and I'll be like, is it supposed to work that way? I just ask random innocuous questions in case. Then
you'd wander away thinking he's bothering me. I'm like, you're not bothering me, Dad.
I helpfully made tea.
Yes.
That was my only contribution.
Helpful.
I made sure they ate food and I made tea, and otherwise I stayed out of the way.
So then we're packing up, right? And I'm looking at my bag. I'm like, oh my god, I left the battery pack in the hotel room. We're like 10 minutes before our panel starts. We have to bust out of the room. So I call up our friend Melanie.
It's the battery pack for one of the controllers.
Right. Like, for the controllers. Yeah. And I frantically call up our friend Melanie, who's staying in my room. And I'm like, hey, can you get the battery? She's like, yeah, I see it on the desk. I'm like, bring it. Brings it, and then the bat.
It doesn't work.
Yeah, and then the bat, it's dead. You know, you press the on button, the controller blinked once, and just shut off again.
Just so you know, this was the way we got this set up is we set up Xbox controllers to connect to like a USB device that Eric had set up Eric set up the game to receive inputs from the Xbox controllers. So it worked very much like the Xbox You Don't Know Jack game, where a question would be asked. 4 answers appear on the screen. You hit the corresponding button, and that it measured like how quickly you hit your answer, and then your score was based on how quickly you hit your answer, either positive or negative, depending on whether you got it right or not.
Right.
But yeah, so we had 3 controllers that just used regular batteries, but one actually used a battery pack.
Right, it's a rechargeable battery.
You had to have a special charger for it, and we didn't have the special charger, so we couldn't make sure it was charged up. And so we designed this for 4 people, and we had to play with 3.
Right. Which is what tripped up the reason the game crashed on the third game was because I had to manually click the next button to end the game round.
Because it didn't know that everybody had clicked it.
Right, because there's no 4th player, so once everyone answered, I was clicking continue.
Then you clicked it too fast.
And I clicked it prematurely. Then I tried to go back and fix the person's score, and it's when I punched in a negative number, it just, boom, crashed.
So, oh, man.
Because I was using unsigned integers.
But that was like the last question, or the second to last question on the last game.
Yeah, we basically just had the Jack Attack to do after that.
Right.
Which, our Jack Attacks were fun. One of them, there was...
I can't believe you guys went with some of this stuff.
So if you never played Euro Jack, the way the Jack Attack works is there'll be one word appears on the screen, and then other words fly by, and you've got to choose when one of the other words fly by. You have to hit the button at the same time if it corresponds to the first word, and there's always a clue involved. So one of the Jack Attacks we called, the clue was what's under there, and then character names would pop up, and then styles of underwear flew by. So that was possibly the greatest and most embarrassing Jack Attack that we came up with. Which it would have gone over a lot better if, like, people were getting the answers right, but no one got any of the answers right.
Oh, well.
And then someone thought it was a good idea for me to read out the correct answers after that. And I don't know why we did that. I just felt super awkward.
And I was going on, like, this was so hard to research. It was Google image searches for hours.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. It was very distracting. Like, we need to get other questions done. And we're just...
I stayed out of that.
Yeah. Amy was like, I can't believe you guys are doing this. Shouldn't you guys do something else? Isn't this a PG panel?
We're not showing the underwear. And then someone, like, when I did read the clue, someone did say out loud, underwear.
And someone else said, oh. So that was my favorite part of that panel, is that someone did that joke exactly as you'd hoped they would.
Because we were going back and forth about what the clue should be, and I said, like, no, it should be what's under there, so that people ask underwear. And someone did, so it was great.
Yep, it worked out. Anyway.
Yeah. Honestly, we did it because we thought it was funny, and that's the only reason.
Yeah.
So I was
nothing.
basically just kind of in the corner holding the prizes, which were basically extra grab bag DVDs.
Yeah.
That
we didn't want.
That we didn't want previously.
I'm sorry.
So I apologize to anyone who played and was disappointed by the prizes, because they were really crummy prizes.
They were really crummy.
It's like volume 4 of random anime that nobody wanted to watch, you know.
I had intended on making a joke early on saying, like, we have prizes of value for various degrees of value. And, really kind of downplay the prizes, but, we were debugging until like 15 minutes before the panel. We ran down there, kind of forgot about that part.
I think you guys handled pretty much everything else just fine. So, I mean, that was not even an issue. I just... I think everybody seemed fine with getting a prize.
Yeah.
I just kind of felt a little bit bad every once in a while. Someone would be like, "Oh,"
kind
of look sadly at our like cardboard box full of junk. I'm like, I'm sorry.
One of the hardest things about that panel was picking people to play the game.
Yeah.
Because they're like, who wants to play? Everyone raises their hand.
Yeah, the whole panel. That was packed, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was packed, and it was the Pikes Peak, which is a huge room.
It's probably the largest panel room besides main events.
Yeah.
So.
Well, main events is freaking enormous. Yeah, but...
Yeah, it doesn't really compare to main events, but...
I don't think anything compares to main events, so...
But still, it was a huge panel room and jam-packed, and we're like, that guy, one in red. I think we tried to do themes, like the first one was cosplayers.
Yeah. And then the last one was old school fans.
Yeah.
I don't remember that there was a theme.
I think the good idea. It was a good idea to do themes. Yeah, so that worked out. So that went well, and then after that, we ended up going to Chris Patton's panel.
Chris Patton shares too much.
Yeah. So, and that was the first time I'd ever been to that, and that was fun. But I think I was too tired for that panel.
me and Eric just really needed to wind down after that.
Yeah.
So that was physically challenging. I mean, just in terms of stress, Dan was a trooper. He was up there being the life of the party.
Yeah, he was the announcer for it, so it was. Yeah,
I went on stage as the persona of Cube Mastersons. I had some Cube ears that really look terrible, but I made them a year ago. There's something. I figured if I looked kind of like Cube, then I could be a jerk and people wouldn't mind too much.
So that worked out, and we went to that panel afterwards, and then after that we slept.
Yes.
and then we had to get up bright and early.
Yes.
For embracing Otaku.
That was the hardest morning to wake up on. Was that Sunday morning?
Sunday morning, because the panel was at 9 o'clock, 9 in the morning.
We had an impressive turnout for that panel on a Sunday morning.
It was like 12 people.
Yeah.
But that's a lot for Sunday morning. That's not like the AMV showing or whatever.
And so, I mean, like our panel was promising embracing Otakudom.
Right.
Well, what does that mean? What are we going to do? I think we had a description that explained pretty well what we were going to talk about, which was basically like, hey, we're all otaku, here's why that's good. And that's really what we focused on that, and there's a lot of great things about being an otaku, and it's one of the reasons that we do this podcast is because we think it's really good to like things and what you love kind of tells you more about who you are. And Amy pretty much ran that panel, and she did a fantastic job.
Yeah. Oh, thanks.
Yes. No,
I was really excited about it. So
no, I thought it was very well done. I was happy. Again, another example, the timing was just dead on. The last PowerPoint slide passes, we're at the end of our time slot. It was perfect.
Yeah, I felt like we all really worked well together on that one, particularly.
I thought our dynamic was the best on that one, too.
And I loved, like, each and every person that came into that panel. Thank you so much for coming to the panel. I know it's hard to get up that early for anything on a Sunday after all of the stuff that happens in the convention. Yeah. But I just love talking about why it's good to be a fan and why it's important to be a fan of things and and how you can kind of spread that to other people. Right. And I get all starry-eyed when I start talking about that junk, so it was fun, and I really enjoyed it. So.
And the people that showed up were engaging. No, I was always feared between all of them that we'd have a crowd and no one would say anything.
Yeah, but like everyone would be asleep.
Right.
You know?
No, but every panel we had, the crowd was very engaging. So I was very happy by all of that.
Yeah, everyone's really seemed involved, and especially for embracing Otakudom, we had a lot of people speak up and actually interact with us. And
I think everyone who was there really enjoyed it.
Yeah, so.
And I got an opportunity to talk to. So one of the interesting things I thought about running all of our panels is seeing familiar faces. Yeah. As when we see, it's like, oh, hey, it's that guy from this other panel.
Yeah, there's like 3 or 4 people that showed up for almost all of our panels. Yeah. So you guys are awesome.
Yeah. Well, there was one time they walk in, it's like, oh, you guys are running this one too.
Right. We keep running into each other.
That was great. I loved that.
That was fantastic. So yeah. And then the rest of Sunday was just kind of a blur.
It was so sad. I tried to actually buy some art at the art show, and then I got seriously outbid like almost immediately. And
I went to the art auction with Melanie. I bought someone made a little Chobix claw.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, you did get that.
Yeah, I was the only bidder on it. It was $35 or something.
And then Melanie got the TARDIS thing.
Yeah,
and I got nothing.
Oh yeah, funny story about the art auction. I went to the Funimation panel. We split up. I went to the Funimation panel to try to find out what's going on with Funimation, and since their first one had kind of gotten cut short.
Yeah, that was their preview panel, right?
Yeah,
Funimation preview panel.
I think you talked about a lot of the stuff that they didn't get a chance to talk to in the first panel.
Oh, that's good.
So,
it's good they had 2 panels then.
Yeah. So I was finishing up with that, and then I go to find these guys, and I knew they were at the art auction. So I walk into the art auction, and I look for them. Amy looks up, and she nods at me, and then I, wave. And then all of a sudden, I bid on something.
the guy
back, was that a bid? Like, oh God, no.
Yeah, he's like, well, you gotta watch out for that. It's an auction.
Oh, was that you? You said that?
Yeah, that was exactly Dan. And
I didn't look behind me. I didn't see that. That's funny.
It wouldn't have been a bad thing to own, but our friend Melanie was also bidding on it. I think.
she was also bidding on it, so that wouldn't have worked.
I think she got it.
She got a couple things.
It was the TARDIS.
It was the TARDIS?
Yeah, it was the TARDIS.
Which I think the only reason no one bid on it in the reason she bid on it the first time in just the silent auction, they're writing it down, is she didn't know it was the Doctor Who reference.
Yeah, she didn't notice the little TARDIS in the corner, and she didn't know it was Gallifrey, so...
Yeah.
So there was some decent things in the art auction. You guys wanted, it was was it the cover artwork or the badge artwork?
Yeah, the program artwork.
Program guide,
the one that was, and I knew that was going to probably get out of my reach, and it did, but it did in such a quick, forceful manner that I was like, no!
Yeah, I was surprised how high stuff goes in our auction.
Yeah.
I went for a couple thousand,
they really went for it, and I don't remember stuff going quite that high before, at least not from what Melanie had told me, so oh well. It just wasn't meant to be.
Real quick, I just wanted to mention some of the stuff I learned at the Funimation panel. Right now, Funimation is doing, so this is kind of an impromptu, unexpected news segment.
Okay.
By the way, surprise! Right now, Funimation is simulcasting Attack on Titan, Certain Scientific Railgun, One Piece, and I think something called DxD. My notes are a little fuzzy.
That's, is that High School of the Dead? No, not High School of the Dead.
No. That's, DxD is something else, but I don't know if that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah.
It's something similar to High School of the Dead.
Oh, okay.
It's like a high schoolers, hot, kind of fan servicey fighting.
They showed a bunch of previews at that one, because that was their preview panel. Actually it is High School DxD.
Yeah.
It looks, because they showed a preview for it. I thought that one looked funny, and but also kind of ecchi, which is fine by me. I like funny, ecchi things, really.
Can't get wrong with those two.
Yeah. They showed a preview for Attack on Titan, something called Black Lagoon, which I thought looked interesting because it was maids with guns. I was like, okay, sign me up. They featured Haganai. This one is kind of interesting, and kind of ties into something I need to apologize for that I mentioned last time. We got something wrong when we were talking about Funimation last time. We said they were responsible for the original DBZ dub. Oh, yeah. They were not.
Oh, okay.
Different company was, but then
a friend corrected us.
Yeah,
on
a friend
this,
was
so
happy because huge DBZ fan, and we love him, and he corrected us on that. And I'm glad he did, because I don't like getting stuff wrong. But yeah, it was I don't know the original company, but it was some Canadian company.
Oh, they're probably the people who dub. Yeah, there was a lot of early dub stuff happening in Canada, so that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
And but interestingly enough, Funimation is doing a release of the original dub, just as is, with all of the.
Just because a lot of people have nostalgia.
Just because people have nostalgia for it. Just with all of the went to another dimension, the hell shirts cut out to say something else, and and they showed a clip, and they decided to if they're going to show a clip of it, they have to show Vegeta saying over 9,000.
Yeah,
so of course you do.
Yeah,
I mean, why wouldn't you?
There was a preview for something called Guilty Crown.
Guilty Crown.
Don't know anything about it really.
That was a fighting game, right?
Yeah.
That's had some controversy back and forth, just because the women fighters in it tend to be very sexy.
Okay.
But it looked kind of interesting.
All right.
I don't know. I was actually kind of interested in playing it, but I haven't picked it up or anything. So I don't know.
But yeah, they did a preview, or they showed a clip. A lot of these were showing clips of stuff. They had a clip of Fujiko Mine, the woman named Fujiko Mine.
Yeah.
Which I've always been interested in. I just haven't gotten around to it.
Well, I've got it, so I'm going to watch an anime club sometime.
Yeah. There's something called Future Diary that looks really interesting.
Yeah, I've read the review on that. It does definitely.
Apparently, they've got diaries from the future somehow.
They get like text messages.
You don't say.
They're getting text. They're text messages, and they're like. And there was this kind of conspiracy where they're trying to like kill each other. Like,
yeah, the clip was super weird because it's like it's all school kids, and there was the clip they showed was like these kids on school grounds running through a minefield and avoiding mines, and they're like using clues from their future diary to figure out where all the mines are.
Yeah.
So it looked interesting. I'm going to check that one out, I think. There's a new anime called Michiko and Hatchin. Am I saying that right?
Yep, that's it.
New being that it's being released here.
Yeah.
I think it came out in 2010 or something.
Okay.
It's a couple years
been out
old.
for a couple of years.
And it's from the creators of Cowboy Bebop. Cowboy Bebop, Samurai Champloo. So if you like those, you'll probably like this. It looks very similar. I'm iffy about it. I'm not sure. Because for me, and I won't get into it, but Cowboy Bebop, and if you say it's from the creators of Cowboy Bebop and Samurai Champloo, that actually makes me worried. Not like, oh, it'll be good. But yeah, there's looks like a convict adopts this kid kind of.
She claims
suddenly,
she claims it's her daughter, but
it's clearly not her daughter.
Yeah, you question that right off the bat because they're not even the same ethnicity. So
yeah. I mean, I just have the clip to go off of, and that's the clip they showed. Is this convict grabs this kid from an orphanage and says, "You're coming with me," and they go on wacky adventures.
They're trying to find her father, I guess. It kind of gives me a Samurai Champloo vibe. Trying to find this guy, and I guess it's probably very episodic, like Cowboy Bebop was. So, very rich background, and it takes place in Brazil, I think. Yeah, so there's a ton of rich culture background. The setting's very filled out, so that one of the
sound pretty cool.
Yeah, so.
And they had there's another show called Jormungand.
Looks like.
No, I haven't heard of that one.
Yeah.
I have.
It looked very similar to Black Lagoon, which, like I said, looked awesome because it's made with guns. And that it was both of those shows were clearly ideal for like military otaku because it's very much like very accurate guns, very accurate battle equipment.
Why the maids, though?
Why not maids? Why are there not more maids in more places?
That's not a draw for me, Dan.
To be fair, there was one maid with a gun. And
okay. That's
really
it.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
And my understanding of Black Lagoon, it's actually about pirates.
Oh, okay.
I've never even heard of that one. So
yeah, and this one, the clip they showed was pretty awesome because like they were in a car chase and like the guys behind them pulled out a rocket launcher and the people in, like the guy in front was like figured out like if I toss a grenade exactly now it'll throw off the like rocket and it was just amazing. They did a preview for the One Piece movie Strong World.
One Piece has a lot of movies by now, doesn't it?
And they did that completely as a introduction to a character that I don't know if is introduced there or just heavily featured, named Brooke, who is just a walking skeleton.
Brooke looks awesome. Brooke is like one of like all of the One Piece characters that they introduce. Which is like, wow, that looks ridiculous. I don't understand how I could possibly like that character. And then
they
a
like,
little
bit
bit later,
like
you're like, wow, this might be my favorite character. Yeah. I don't know.
Same thing happened to me with Usopp, and then later with Chopper.
Yeah,
I thought both of them looked ridiculous. But
I
really,
actually,
Usopp is nothing by comparison to stuff that happens later. But
I actually haven't gotten to any of the stuff with Brooke yet, so I can't stay.
That's my understanding, is that the American release hasn't caught up to where Brooke's introduced. Maybe if you're watching the simulcast, it has.
Yeah.
But if you're just doing the DVD releases, I'm pretty sure.
We just haven't been watching One Piece because it's just so intimidating.
We're way behind on our One Piece. That's one thing I'd really like to do. Maybe sometime this next year is just sit down, watch all the One Piece,
right.
Just all of it. Just really get caught up on One Piece because the story is so good. Like I was at the library a little bit ago and just read all of the volumes that they had and got a little bit caught up, and I was like, oh, this is so good. Now I know about Chopper, and I love Chopper so much.
What's funny is
so I mean it just. And apparently it just keeps being good, so I just need to read it.
I've only watched One Piece 3 or 4 times, and every time it's the Chopper episode. I know how it works out. But every time I'm flipping through, back when I had Cartoon Network,
Well, I guess that's better than when I was watching Full Metal Alchemist and it kept being the Nina Tucker episode. Jesus.
Yeah, every time. I wasn't sure about getting into Full Metal Alchemist at first, and then I'd turn it on and I'd watch the Nina Tucker episode and be like,
this is super depressing, and I have to not watch Full Metal Alchemist. I can't watch this
for a while. And then for a while, it's apparently long enough for that episode to roll around again, because as soon as I turn it on, it's back.
I think I watched that like 4 times. Like 4 times. So, before I was able to find a different episode. So maybe we actually own a number of volumes of One Piece. I think we have up till like episode 50 something. Yeah. So I mean, if you ever want to borrow,
probably. It's not that I'm avoiding. Well, actually, I kind of am avoiding because it's so long. I kind of have a rule. I didn't get into. I tend to avoid animes that run really long until they've ended. Like with Naruto, I didn't watch Naruto the first season until I knew it ended. Okay, Shippuden is starting. I'm going to watch Naruto
Well,
now.
See, I usually have that I usually feel that way, but I mean, with One Piece, I mean, they're in an episode, I don't even know what at this point.
600 something.
And I keep hearing that it's even better than it was before, and I'm like, I'm just missing out on stuff at this point, so...
No, totally, yeah.
I would like to know what's going on in this scene that someone just showed me. Yeah. I'm like, why did you show me a spoilery scene? But at the same time, I want to know.
And finally, at Funimation, they showed a preview for Wolf Children.
Which we probably should talk about.
Yeah, and that's from the creators of Summer Wars and Girl Who Leapt Through Time. I've not seen Summer Wars yet. I've heard good things. Girl Who Leapt Through Time is fantastic.
It's an amazing movie.
And Wolf Children looks like it's going to be really good. Its basic story synopsis is this woman falls in love with a man, and they get together, and they have kids. Before they have kids, she finds out that the man is a werewolf. And I don't know exactly what their rules are, but he can change. It looks like he can change into a wolf at will.
I think it's more that he is a wolf, but has taken human form.
That could be.
I think that's more of it.
Shift, basically.
Because the Japanese doesn't have the werewolf mythos. It's more they have animals that occasionally take human form. Right. That's more the Japanese mythos.
So they have children, and something happens to him, and she ends up having to raise these children who are half wolf, half child, hence wolf children. And she moves out into a rural area and has to raise them on her own.
Looks really good, very family oriented.
It looks like she's trying to give them a choice on whether they want to be more wolves or more human, that sort of thing. And there's a lot of kind of back and forth on how she wants to raise them and that sort of stuff.
So it looks really great, and we are trying to get an event going in Denver using Tug.com. We're trying to get them to play Wolf Children at the Denver Film Center on the 29th of October, which is a Tuesday.
Tuesday, 7:30 at night at the Denver Film Center Colfax. I think it's technically called the SEI Film Center. SIE Film Center.
So look for details on our website. We'll probably link it from the page for this podcast.
But we also have it on
Tumblr, Facebook. Yeah. It's in the NDK forum under the general discussion section.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
then,
tickets are only $10, and it looks like it's going to be a screened. If we can get it going, if we can get 75 people to go, or I guess it's only 72 if we're including us.
We already signed up.
If we get 72 people to go with us, then it'll be screened before the Blu-ray comes out. So before they even technically release it, if you can see it in the theater.
If you live in the Denver area, this is your opportunity to see it before it's really released on Blu-ray. And in a big theater. I don't know if it's going to be dubbed or subbed. Do we know that yet?
I think it's dubbed. I'm 90% sure it's dubbed.
We'll check on that.
Yeah, we'll cut this out if it's not. But as we've alluded to this, but just to be clear, there is a threshold we have to meet before the event actually happens. We need to get 74 people going. We're at 69 left, so we've sold 5 tickets.
We still need to get quite a few people to buy tickets.
So we need your support to make this happen. Yes. Go on, find the link on our website, buy yourself some tickets, and the good thing is, if it doesn't, so just so you know, if it doesn't go through, if we don't get enough people, you pay nothing. So there's no risk to you. If you want to go, purchase a ticket.
Yeah,
you'll only actually be charged if the event is happening.
Yeah, you only actually buy a ticket if we get enough people to go and do it. So
I think it's rated PG, so it should be fairly kid friendly. You know, anyone probably 9 or older will be fine to bring them. So bring your whole family.
Yeah, that would be cool.
And that's it for the news, and I think that's it for what do we do.
Well, real quick, I mean, since we talked about Funimation, we went to the Media Blasters panel.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not going to discuss it being so short, but it was very short. But he did say...
It was probably about 10 minutes long.
Yeah.
So.
He did say they're focusing on ecchi titles, which, you know, for...
I think for them that makes a lot of sense. I think that's a good direction for them to go in, and I hope that they continue that trend. He recently mentioned...
That works for them, yeah. We'll see how that goes.
I think they either have already or are looking to license Ladies vs. Butlers, which I've seen a few episodes of. It looks pretty good. It's again funny and ecchi. It takes place in a school for butlers / maids.
It's definitely very silly looking, but it's just amusing. A fun, silly kind of fantasy anime.
And I guess they have no plans on releasing the second season of Squid Girl, which is kind of sad. I didn't even realize they were the ones who released it.
They did a fantastic job with that.
I thought that was probably...
It was great.
That dub is as best as it could be, honestly.
It was wonderful.
And then, also, likewise, no plans on releasing more Genshiken, which is kind of sad. Hopefully they change their mind on that. I'm thinking this Genshiken second generation has a lot of fans, and hopefully they'll see a reason to release it. It has a lot of potential.
I don't know. We'll see what happens with it, but I think they were having a hard time getting back on that, so we'll see how it goes.
It sounds like the company's been through some hardships and they're just trying to get back into the game. So with some luck, because they've done some really good work in the past.
So cool. And then at the end of the con, there was the charity auction, which we were outbidded on everything. So
we didn't get anything. It was very sad.
I got like a
except for that expensive Madoka figure.
We didn't get anything at the charity.
I did get
I also got a really great Asuka figure, which I really like too.
I did get a little signed piece of Yamato's first time. He got a HK artwork.
Nice.
So So, but stuff I wanted, it just went for ridiculous amounts. I don't remember what the final number was, but I think it was in excess of 12,000.
Yeah, it was higher than they've gotten before, I think.
Yeah.
They did a really good job this year raising money for... I don't remember the charity, but it was basically to stop bullying.
Stop Out Bullying, I think was the name of it. At New Year's Eve, which is only a couple months away, they plan on doing some kind of flood relief charity. They haven't announced which one yet, but they're going to do a flood relief charity come New Year's Eve. So if you're planning on going there, definitely save some money, bid on a couple items to help out people affected by the Colorado floods.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, unless you guys have anything more to add, I think we should take a short break,
cool.
And we'll come back with talking about what we've been doing, what we've been watching, that kind of thing.
Okay, sounds good. So let's just talk about what we've been doing lately.
Okay, that sounds like a plan.
Okay, let's do that.
All right. So Eric, as
this would probably be a lot easier if we were drunk.
It would be a lot easier if we were drunk.
Okay, so we're just gonna start talking about what we've been doing recently, because we've been relaxing a lot, and there's been a lot of stuff we've been missing out on because we've been getting ready for the panels.
Yes.
and so we've basically been just catching up on a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
So what have you guys been catching up on?
Well, I think me and you, we recently caught up on Attack on Titan.
Oh, yeah. We watched a whole bunch of it. I think we watched all that we'd been missing in, one night.
Yeah. I don't know if we're at the end. I don't think we're at the end of this season. Because
no, we still have, 2 or 3 episodes left to go.
Yeah, there's a big fight that started and hasn't finished yet. So.
Yeah, so we've still got a little bit left to go.
So that's been going on.
Oh, man, it's so good, though. It's so good.
Yeah.
I love it.
So I started watching Attack on Titan, hearing these guys rant and rave about it. I figured I need to watch it. So I have started it.
I don't know if it's completely your bag, man. It's not.
No, don't get me wrong. I think it's a very good show. It's not something I would seek out on my own to watch, but it is. I see everything that's good about it, definitely. Yeah. So I'm at about episode 13, just after the first main arc.
Gotcha. That's like the recap. Are you at the recap episode?
I'm at the recap episode.
Okay.
That's the next episode on the playlist.
Yeah.
So.
Did we skip the recap episode? I think we skipped most of it.
I think we... I don't remember.
Recognized it was a recap episode.
Yeah, well, we had just watched the whole thing almost. We practically marathoned
it. Yeah, you marathoned it, so you don't need the recap episode.
Yeah, exactly. So
that's one problem when we watch something like that. Is they put them in there for the broadcast, but we're watching it when you marathon.
We just watched it.
Yeah.
So that's been going on. The other shows we've been watching this season include Servant X Service, which I think we're a few episodes behind on. Still.
Yeah, and that actually we did watch even while we were putting the panels together, because it was a good
that's such a good
it was a good
I need
relaxing I just need to laugh at something sort of show, This is just fun.
But one of the things that sets it apart, I think, because it's very much a gag anime, but one of the things I thought sets it apart is that there is actual character development, which is really nice.
Not a whole lot, but
not a whole lot,
bit.
But enough. So it's still pretty casual and easy to watch. It's like eating popcorn.
Yeah, totally. It's good. I hope they make more.
But the popcorn is buttery and delicious.
Yes. And besides that, I have recently been torturing myself by reading the final volumes of the Bunny Drop manga. I don't want to give too much away, especially because the anime is fantastic.
Yes,
the anime is great, and I was really happy with the anime, and so I found out, the manga keeps going. I'm like, that's great, I want to read more. And I'm reading more of the manga, and I get to volume 7, I think, 8 and 9, I think, are the last 2 volumes, right? Yeah. So I get to volume 7, basically borrowing it from Eric, because he had gotten all the manga. Yeah. And I'm really enjoying the manga. Volume 7, still really enjoying it. Like where they're going with it.
It seems like that's the last volume.
And then later I find out that something happens at the end that shouldn't happen at all.
Yeah. And you're like, what?
And I'm like, what?
Oh.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. And I refuse to believe it. I have to read it. I read nothing about it. Amy was the one who mentioned it to me.
Well, because I heard someone else discussing it in a podcast, and I'm like, wait, what are they so upset about? And then I listened a little longer, and I'm like, what? Yeah. Are you kidding? What? So yeah, then I had to share the pain.
Yeah,
basically. So.
And so Eric, I'll give him credit. He bought the next 2 volumes despite knowing that, and so I'm borrowing them from him. And I'm reading. Like I always read manga just before bed, if I'm not reading a book or something. But I stopped my read through of Sailor Moon from beginning to end to read the end of this, and
just to have it done,
just so that I could know, because I need to know how this happens. And let me tell you, first chapter of volume 8, which is I left off on volume 7. First chapter of the next volume, it begins.
Yeah,
it's like the thing that I couldn't believe was going to happen starts right there.
It comes out of nowhere too. At least that's what it feels like.
It does.
You know?
And I thought, like, do they lead up to this? No, they don't. And so I'm reading this, and now it's become a train wreck that I have to watch.
Yeah. Same thing happened. Well, not
I'm sure
same.
I'll read that too.
In that, not the same in that I've read it, but same in that it was spoiled ahead of time, and I don't want to watch it. Was the Clannad after story? I heard a podcast that spoiled the ending. I don't want to watch it now. Which is sad because Clannad is so funny. It's just this awesome, just funny things constantly happening, a little bit of love story. Then you hear about what happens in Clannad After Story, which is kind of like the second season. And it just gets super depressing. It's like, I don't want to put myself through that.
So that's where that ends up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Clannad After Story gets really depressing.
I was kind of wondering, because that's all I knew about Clannad, was that it was super depressing. And so hearing you talk about it, I was really confused.
No, it's the Clannad After Stories. Like, if you just stop at the end of Clannad, you're fine. It's okay, that was fun. It was a fun ride. It was really enjoyable. Then you get into Clannad After Story. And even the first, I think I was getting the fan subs of it when it was being aired. I get like maybe 4 or 5 episodes in. Then I kind of like hadn't been watching it, so I was a couple weeks behind. Then I listened to a podcast where they were keeping up with it, and they spoiled the ending. And I'm like, oh, you guys, you can't do that, really, you know. Like,
are you talking about the people spoiling the ending, or the people who made it really depressing?
It's fine that it's depressing. I mean, it's one of those tear jerkers. It's kind of like Anohana, you know.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, but so there's nothing wrong with being a tearjerker. It's just that being like, we try to avoid that as a podcast.
Right.
You know, we give you things a couple weeks, even sometimes years. Spike dies before we spoil something.
Damn it, guys! Wow.
So anyway, that sidetrack there.
Yeah,
Tangent.
but let's see. What have I been doing? I've actually gotten back into reading what here in the States is called young adult fiction. I think in Japan it's usually called light novels.
I wish we would adopt that title here.
I really wish that they would, because I have for a long time felt like I've been too old to read this stuff anymore. But it's the type of fiction I really like reading, and it's great for reading like right before you go to sleep, or when you have insomnia, like I kind of have for the past couple of weeks, or month, I guess. But I've been reading the Percy Jackson series because it was on like super sale on Amazon, and you know it's like Greek heroes updated to modern mythos, which is fun. And right now I'm reading The Keys to the Kingdom. What's the guy that wrote that? And I passed it, by Garth Nix. And the first book in that series is called Mr. Monday. And that's been really fun too. It's all like modern fantasy stuff. I really enjoy it, so I've been having fun with it. So I'm
trying to think if there's any other anime this season that kind of stood out as far as stuff we kind of taken to. Well, there's Silver Spoon, of course.
Right.
Yeah, Silver Spoon is really, really great.
So I think we did
actually finish that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's really great. They're going to do.
Yeah, so second season starts in January, so
which is great.
Yeah.
Man, it's. I think that we might have to review it later, or at least one of us has to do a text review if we don't review it on a podcast. Yeah. But it's just a really good show. It's about an agricultural high school, and
a guy who comes from Tokyo to go to it. Basically.
Yeah, and it's just really interesting because this guy, he gets there. He's only there because it's a boarding school.
Right. He wants to be away from his family.
Yeah.
So.
And a lot of the interest in that show is finding out more about what happened, but also him learning to love this farm work.
Yeah.
And I don't want
which is just hard and and seems awful, but
it's hard to explain why it's a show about an agricultural high school, why it's so engaging.
Yeah, because like even when I heard it. And I knew that it was from the same creator as Full Metal Alchemist. I was like, well, it's gonna be good, and I know that. But when I heard the premise, I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'll give it a try. Seriously, watch it. Like, at least 3-4 episodes of it. If you don't like it after that point, then okay, I understand.
If Hotchkin bakes a pizza and you don't feel something, then you could just stop watching it right there.
But it is seriously amazing, and it's a tough thing. Like, I mean, you really need to see the show in order to get the full extent of it. So,
and weren't you watching Free? Did you get caught up
I
on
have been watching Free, but I haven't caught up on it. So I hear it is great, and like apparently the ending of it is also great, and I've heard people fight over it being the best anime of the season. So, but I haven't finished watching it, so I still have to. I watched up to like, I don't know, episode 10 or 11 or something, and I haven't seen it for probably a few weeks at this point. So
let's see, I've got caught up on a few video games. I've got a stack of video games that
You've been
have
playing
barely
the
touched.
Video games. I've been playing Catherine a lot,
as have I,
and so has Dan, and that's been kind of an interesting experience.
Yeah.
So. But it's a puzzle game that's really interesting.
Yeah, the puzzle game itself is really interesting. Initially, the other part of the game is there's a lot of wandering around talking to people in a bar specifically. And at first I was like, I don't want to do this. I just want to get back to the puzzles. But they give you a hook to kind of get into doing the bar, at least for me. When you're doing the puzzles, you're in a dream state. There's other people around you. They're all sheep, and apparently you look like a sheep to everyone else. But if you talk to people in the bar, you'll discover that the sheep are actually people that you know that you can talk to in real life.
They're all in the bar, yeah.
And so that kind of got me to start doing that. Like, I should talk to them, see if I can figure out what sheep is which, and that kind of got me into it. And then that's also how you find out more about what's going on in the story.
But some of the choices you make in that game are a little weird.
A lot of the choices are really ambiguous. A lot of the choices are
dichotomies that are like, I don't like either of these options.
There'll be false dichotomies, or it's like, do you prefer this or this? Like, well, what if I prefer both, or what if I don't like either of those options? There's more than two.
So, and then they put you on good or bad
based on your
choice. Which, is the basic problem with the moral choice system in a lot of games. Yeah. So, whatever. So, it's been an interesting game, but we'll see how it continues. I may get to a point where the puzzles just stump me, too, because they're rough.
I do restart playing Last of Us because I forgot how the controls worked.
That was fun. And we tried to record that one, but it kind of... No, the recording system kind of pooped out on us. So.
Yeah, it didn't capture our microphone input, so it's just gameplay.
Which is really boring by itself.
Yeah. Especially when we pause and start talking about something for a long time.
I mean, it might not be all that interesting. It might not be all that interesting with our voices, but it sure is a little bit more interesting than just by itself.
But yeah, we do plan on putting up some Let's Plays, so check our site for that.
I think we're going to try to do Silent Hill first.
Yep.
So, because we're both big Silent Hill fans. We actually heard just recently that Nandiscon is going to have Akira Yamaoka, the composer and producer of some of the Silent Hill games. But he was the composer for pretty much all of them.
Yeah.
Everything except for the most recent one.
Right, the Downpour.
And yeah, it's that's a big deal. And Mary Elizabeth McGlynn is going to be there too, and she did voice directing for a lot of the games, and she sung a lot of the songs.
And she directed Shattered Memories, I think, right?
Yeah, okay. I think so. So, I mean, it's going to be a very Silent Hill-focused non-discon next year. For us, yeah.
For you guys.
So yeah, and I've been wanting to play through some of these Silent Hill games anyway, so...
And just so you know how big of a deal this is for me and Amy, we never go to signings. We're probably going to wait in line to get Akira Yamaoka to sign something for us.
We might.
You bring all your games with you.
I think they only
sign one thing.
Yeah, I think they only let you sign one thing. So we'll each take one.
I've got two. We've got 2 copies of the original Silent Hill game. I'm thinking about getting him to sign one of them.
That's nice.
So,
cool,
but
cool.
It's exciting. It's super exciting. So. Anyway.
Yeah. So I've not been playing very many computer games, or none that I could think of actually. I have been reading the Ranma 1/2 manga.
Oh,
I
cool.
own the first 18 volumes. There's 36 total. Just kind of out of nowhere, I'm like, I'll start reading this.
Have you not read them before?
No.
Or is it... Really? You've never read them?
No?
Oh, jeez.
How long have you owned them?
They're good.
A couple years, I think.
Wow.
Well, honestly, most of my manga shelf I maybe read the first volume.
Oh, jeez.
So if I just out of nowhere, actually, so I read Usagi dropped and I lent it to Dan and Amy. Then I'm like, well, I want to read more manga, and so I look at my manga shelf.
I own all of
You have
this.
to do something to get the taste of that out of your mouth.
Yeah, so I pick up Ranma 1/2. So I've been reading that. I'm on the 5th volume right now. I'm actually very happy that it's not significantly, but it's different enough from the animated show to make it worth reading. Because one thing that's kind of not fun is when it follows it, letter for letter.
Oh, is that just kind of what you thought it was going to be?
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. So I'm like, I came to it for I bought it in case what if I lose power or something? I'll have something to read,
You have to have something of Rumiko Takahashi.
Right, so that's honestly why I owned it.
You've got to be prepared for your otaku outages.
Yes. What if I, I'm between jobs and have to turn the power off? What am I going to do in my spare time, right? So that's why I have it.
I can't possibly sell these for power.
So, and it's the original Viz release, so the artwork's been flipped.
Oh, that's kind of confusing.
That's not great about it, but, still. I do want to get it all, because I'm only got about half of it, so...
Ah, gotcha. Yeah, that's a lot of volumes, if I remember correctly.
So, I do know the ending's different, at least, because the TV series just kind of stops. They've been in one of those issues where they just were canceled, pretty much. It's like, okay, this is your last season. And I'm like, oh, okay, well...
So,
Wrap everything up, I guess.
Yep. So we've been doing that. Been catching up on Crunchyroll. I mentioned earlier, I watched the first 13 episodes of Attack on Titan pretty much in 2 nights. I marathoned it 2 nights in a row. Caught up on Silver Spoon. Caught up on Service X Servant. Caught up on Dog and Scissors, which I'm not going to say it's a bad show. I just don't know what they're going for.
Every episode, just leaves me with the feeling, what did I just watch?
Why?
And what happens next?
Yeah. So it's one of those, it's kind of like watching a train wreck. It's like, okay. And then you watch another and another. It's like, it's entertaining at least. I mean, I'm not bored while watching it.
But you're kind of like, why did I spend the time on this? Watching this.
I just don't know where's the plot going. I mean, they're not trying to get anything accomplished.
Did they accomplish anything
Nothing.
by the end of the... okay.
No, I mean, it's just...
do they have more episodes?
I don't know.
Okay,
I know it's based on a manga,
yeah.
so I'm sure the manga goes past where the TV series ends, but I don't know where it's going.
And basically, Dog and Scissors is a harem anime that centers around a dog.
Right.
He used to be human.
Are you sure it's a harem anime? Because a lot of them seem to be kind of more focused on the writer.
Well, the writer's more focused on him.
Oh, yeah.
It's
maybe
there's some.
I don't know if I would classify it as a harem. I just don't know what I'd classify it as. So anyway,
it really defies explanation. I think.
Yeah, you just kind of stare at it and go, "What? Okay."
Yeah, so. What else have I been doing? I think that's everything I've got on Crunchyroll. Things I have to still watch. I need to watch the end of The World God Only Knows. I think I only got an episode or two left.
Yeah, we have like one episode of that left, I think.
So, I need to finish Attack on Titan. Then I added like 10, 15 things to my queue that have just started in the fall season.
We haven't even started on the this coming fall season, right?
Yeah.
So. And
we did watch all of Ruby. So that was pretty
good. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's in my queue, but we wanted to watch it for one of the Mondays.
Yeah, we're gonna watch it next Monday.
Yeah, we get together like every Monday to watch some anime. This week we did it on Wednesday. We watched
the what was that?
The Gibli movie
from Up on Poppy Hill,
right? Which was really good.
Yeah.
I'm finding that I'm really liking Ghibli's earlier stuff, like stuff before Princess Mononoke. Almost consistently really good, with the exception of maybe I wasn't a big fan of, was it Nadia Valley of the Wind?
Yeah, Nausicaa.
Sorry.
No, he did make Nadia, but
but I wasn't a big fan of that one. I don't know if I've seen Nadia.
I haven't. If you ever want to borrow it. To me, I would say the same thing. His earlier stuff I loved. Recent stuff, I'm probably one of the few people who did not like the
Spirited
Away. I did not like that one. And I didn't like Howl's Moving Castle the first time I watched it. Every time I watch it again and again, it gets better. Amy disagrees, but she's read the original book.
I have biases, and I know that because I read the book several years before the movie came out. Yeah. And knowing the plot of the book and being very concerned about storylines, I can't like the movie all that much with the changes that they made. Like, I can like adaptations, but I don't like that one. So.
But I think the last couple movies, they're kind of going back to their roots. It felt like Ponyo was more in line with their earlier stuff. And then From Up on Poppy Hill, again, feels a lot like their earlier stuff.
Oh, is that newer?
Yeah, it just came out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I was kind of like, what?
It just reminded me of their older stuff.
Exactly. So
I think for me, I prefer his movies or those movies to be more based on kind of more realistic circumstances. So like this one was actually kind of based in the early 1960s and there wasn't anything like magical that was happening. No. They were just trying to save this like student club building.
Right, basically. And it's a quick. We'll probably don't want to do a review here, but quick synopsis. It basically takes place right before the 1964 Tokyo Olympics. So it takes place in 62, 63, something like that.
Yeah.
In a small. Actually, I think it takes place in Tokyo. Or at least very close to Tokyo.
Oh, it takes place on something that's on the...
it's on the coast. But Tokyo's on the coast.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
At least really close. So it takes place it's at least close to Tokyo, but it takes place in this small town. And basically there's this school club building called the Latin Quarter. And it's run down. It's a dump. Like, even the guys that are there, it's like, this place has never been clean. Our predecessors didn't clean it,
Yeah.
So, but it had this very, it's very kind of, each generation passed on, the duties of the clubs. Because this is just a clubhouse. The newspaper club is there, and they even talk at some points.
Like all the clubs are there.
Yeah, they talk at some points like, hey,
they're all kind of shoved into these tiny rooms.
Yeah, very tiny. Like, I think the newspaper club has to share the room with the archaeology club. Or the geography.
Archaeology. Because they're talking about how can they make archaeology cool.
Right.
And we suggested Indiana Jones when we were watching it.
Yes. So, anyways, and then there's a love story gets thrown in. But yeah, it's very down to earth. It could have happened, there's nothing crazy about it. So, and then his new one that's coming out, which is Wind Rises, Upward Wind, something like it. Wind's in the title.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that one,
this
too.
Isn't this the last one Miazaki?
Well, he says that every movie.
Does he say that every movie?
Almost.
Oh, okay.
He said it was Spirited Away. That's supposed to be his last
really?
line.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Well, never mind then.
So, he says it's
like,
going to be...
no, this is totally serious.
This will be my last movie, except they keep giving me money.
Yeah, who knows?
They keep wanting me to do projects, and
Right.
I keep having ideas. Well, I mean, it's kind of like Kevin Smith. He keeps on being like, well, this is my last one.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no, I have another idea.
So when they release a Ghibli movie that he wasn't involved in at all, I'll believe it. But like even with Tales of Percy, he was supposed to have not been involved. I think he did the screenplay for it. Still,
Oh, okay.
You know, so he's still
still pretty involved,
right. I mean, that's like one of the most important things about animation productions. You know, is the freaking storyboard and the screenplay. So he practically wrote the whole thing. He just wasn't standing over the animators. You know, the whole time. So that's the only difference. So we watched that. Then we watched Princess Night, which is a release by Right Stuff.
That was interesting.
You mentioned that in a news that we did a while back.
I find it amazing that they were able to collect all
Right.
of that
So
stuff.
basically, if you don't remember, Right Stuff, the guy who runs Right Stuff, he's a big fan of the old school stuff, and he's been searching for the prints for Princess Night for years. Finally, he got them all and was able to re-release it in the original American broadcast format. The Japanese prints are gone. They were. I think he said they were washed and reused for a different show because they did that a lot. You know, animation cells are expensive, so you know a show's done, they'll wash the ink off and reuse them. So they lost the masters to it all.
I think it was originally there's a bumper at the beginning that kind of explains it a little bit. I think it was originally created in 1967 and then aired on U.S. television in 1970. And boy, it shows.
Yeah,
you can really tell.
It was interesting. I don't regret watching it, and in fact, I would like to watch more.
Yeah.
I would like to be heavily inebriated while watching it.
It might not be a terrible idea.
I think that'd be a really fun evening.
Yeah,
it's just like get super drunk and watch like Princess Night forever.
Yeah, it's very bad voice acting, cliched characters.
Well, sometimes you just have no idea what even's going on.
I was laughing like the whole time.
There are some unfortunate implications sometimes.
We're thinking of making a drinking game. Drink whenever something sexually questionable happens or something like that.
Yeah.
Like the first opening scene, these guys are chasing the Princess Night, and they have these swords that shoot this white liquid on her. And they're trying to get this on her because it's supposed to turn her blue if she's a boy or red if she's a girl. Quick plot synopsis. She was supposed to have been a girl, but she was born with the heart of a boy. And the king needed a son to succeed him, so he told everyone his daughter was actually a son. And so she was raised as a boy, has the heart of a boy.
She's totally cool with this.
Yeah,
so
she's very tomboyish. She likes fighting. She sees somebody, she'll have a sword fight with them. You know, it's kind of her character type. And then this angel comes down. It's like, it was my mistake. I gave you the wrong heart. And then he tries to turn her into a girl, make her do girl-like things.
He doesn't look like an angel. He looks like an elf or a leprechaun or something.
Yeah.
Who knows how the actual Japanese plot went? But this is the plot we have in the English dub.
Yeah, this is how the English version goes for whatever reason.
Yeah. So there's that. I did buy a lot of stuff at Non-Descon. Oh, Penguin Drum. I got Penguin Drum.
Penguin Drum.
Oh, yeah.
We watched some of that. That looks
a couple of weeks ago.
Really
and
interesting.
It looks fantastic.
We're probably going to buy it too.
So
creators from the creator of Utena. Revolutionary Girl Utena, and it definitely shows in a good way. It's almost like if Utena was made in a more modern setting.
Which I guess it kind of is. So.
Yeah. I mean, it's not, but it is. It's
like Utena, it's difficult to describe.
Yeah, it defies explanation. But we must find the penguin drum.
Yes. Otherwise, our sister will diet, I guess.
I guess.
That's why. Anyway, so it's a good show, good production values. It's kind of funny in certain regards. My only complaint is they show a lot of subway signs, and
they really like their subway signs.
Yeah, I guess it tells you what's going on.
It might be very symbolic and important later on, Eric. You don't know.
Right. So yeah, we only got maybe about 6 episodes. It's
setting us up for later importance.
Yeah. And we only got about 6 episodes in, and it's a full 26, so we've barely scratched the surface on it.
Yeah.
I want to say that's everything. I got a big stack of stuff at home.
Yeah, but, I think we covered quite a bit.
Yeah.
Dan's been playing Bioshock Infinite, too.
That's true.
So
that's besides Last of Us, and there's been Bioshock Infinite.
So,
which
but that's about it. I mean, we keep playing that in little pieces and kind of forgetting the plot and then being like, oh yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Yes, throw some more coins at our head.
If you've played the game, we're at the point where we're basically just starting to walk into tears.
So, don't go too far into
that's just where we are.
Yeah, so... But and the game keeps tutorializing us on how Elizabeth will find things for us eventually.
I know it's been a while since I played, but I remember that part.
She does keep throwing things at us. We understand. It's like we can ask her to find things and do stuff for us.
While that's annoying, you could also call it kind of a point in its favor just because of the way I've been playing it. Because I picked up Last of Us, and I was like, how do I do everything?
You just completely forgot.
I was like, I'll just play from the beginning.
How do you pick up things? I don't know the button.
You hit triangle to pick up things. It's the weirdest thing.
I'm
trying to hit X on everything, and it's just not doing anything.
It might not be weird if you've played PlayStation 3 for more than, a couple months, so...
I don't know. What do you think, Eric?
I would have tried it at one point, but after every other button.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah. You'd think that X would be the button.
Yeah. Usually triangle's menu.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So. Usually you want triangle to be something that you're not going to access very often.
Yeah.
Because it's high up.
Okay. Well, then.
But anyways.
That's not weird.
I think that's all that we've got going on.
Yeah.
What about you? The audience? What have you been doing?
Send us your
really
emails.
Creepy all of a sudden. What the heck?
I was trying to sign us off that way.
No,
I don't think that's good.
No.
All right. Well, we'll be right back with a review of Hellsing Ultimate. So stick around. We're back with our quickie review of Hellsing. Again, we're feeling kind of lazy after NondisCon. We're kind of tired and trying to recover and everything. So we all watched and got caught up on Hellsing Ultimate, the OVA series. It came out quite a bit after the original TV series. I'm not exactly sure when.
About 4 years after the TV series ended.
All right. And we thought it would just be a good thing to talk about in October with the Halloween right around the corner and all that. Talk about something that's a little bit spooky. Yeah. And, it's pretty good. We're not going to get too formal or too into it on this. We're not too worried about ratings on this, but we do want to say... At least I liked it.
Yeah, definitely. It was entertaining. The production values are phenomenal. Being an OVA, they definitely had the budget and the time.
Yeah.
And definitely, they took their time, definitely, to produce some very awesome animation. There's some 3D in there. It's not jarring like you usually associate 3D animation and anime.
Well, there's only one time for me it was jarring, and there was a point where there was a huge army of,
Those Crusaders.
The Crusaders, yeah. Huge Crusader army looked... That was pretty jarring. But for the most part, they did things like the guns are CG.
Yeah.
Or like a car
or
is
a car
CG,
is CG. And it's like,
that
well, that just looks
okay.
awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
But, yeah, the big problem with the original TV series is it was produced by Gonzo. And they're known for throwing a bunch of money in the first episode, and then it really tapers off quickly.
Yeah.
And that's definitely what happened with Hellsing. And the first episode of Hellsing looks amazing, and then not so much after that.
The TV series.
The TV series.
Hellsing Ultimate actually has a number of different studios, including Studio Madhouse. I forget what the other two were. There was like 3 of them over the course of their like 10 volumes.
Right.
Madhouse always does a terrific job. They're the same people behind Red Line, which looks absolutely gorgeous.
Beautiful.
So.
It took us 6 years from February 2006 to December 2012 to release all 10 OVA volumes. Only the first 8 are available in the U.S. right now from Funimation. They rescued the license from Geneon when they stopped releasing domestically. Funimation finally got, through various points in time, finally got 8 volumes and then released them in 2 packs, volumes 1 through 4, which is all Geneon released. Then they have a second pack, which is 5 through 8, which I really was happy that they did that, because I actually started collecting the Geneon releases. So I had the first 3 already from Geneon, and that way I went to like a used it was a second spin in Colorado. It's a used movie place. Was able to get the last volume from the Geneon releases,
and then
picked up
the
second one from Funimation. So that actually worked out. I was happy they didn't try to throw it all in one volume or do something else. So.
And I mean, this OVA I feel like really came out of a need of trying to correct some things that happened in the TV series. Right. The TV series got ahead of the manga really quickly, and they kind of had to fill in their own stuff.
Well, pretty much by the time the Valentine Brothers little mini arc was done, that's when they'd start diverging the OVA from the...
So the first 2 episodes of the OVA get you back to that point. So if you watch the TV series, it feels like they're rushing really quickly through that. But the Valentine Brothers attack on the Hellsing organization is... just really fantastic, and that second OVA just looks beautiful. I love those characters, especially the loud, annoying one.
Jan or Jan, I forget. What his name
I forget.
Is. I think it's Jan.
I like the quieter brother as well, but specifically for a scene later with Alucard where he gets totally pwned by Alucard. It just made this really powerful. Just this amazing scene that's kind of sad, but kind of awesome too, because Alucard quickly realizes, oh wait, you're no match for me, and for a second he was really excited.
Yeah, he's like, oh, this because the vampire just is like showboating. He's like, you're like old school. I'm the latest and greatest vampire. He's
like, oh, am I gonna have a real fight?
I did
not having a real fight.
And then like very quickly he's like, why aren't you regenerating? Why aren't your demons coming out?
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I have a really weird kind of experience with the Hellsing Ultimate OVA because I ended up watching that second OVA like 6 times for no apparent reason, just because I ended up in the same room when other people were watching it, or I mean, I ended up watching that one like tons of times. I watched the first OVA like 3 times. I watched the 3rd one and the 4th one once. And then I hadn't seen 5 through 8, which, I imagine most people, up until, obviously, they released it last year, nobody'd seen it. So, but I don't know why it was the second one that I'd seen 15 million times, but I was very aware of absolutely everything that happened in that one. It's kind of interesting.
So before we get into it, which we already have, but before we go further, let me just tell you a quick synopsis of the story of Hellsing, in case you've never heard of it or never seen it.
Too late.
So Hellsing is about the organization called Hellsing, which is named after the original vampire slayer, Victor von Helsing, if I got that right. From from vampire lore, I think that he is a character in Dracula.
Yeah, there's an American movie about him.
Well, sure, but I mean, he comes from like the original vampire stories.
Right.
Obviously, I'm not qualified to explain this correctly, but anyway, so I mean, it's that family, and basically, Victor von Helsing is dead now, and his daughter
I'm pretty sure that's
and his daughter or granddaughter,
his granddaughter,
Integra Helsing, is taking over the family business. The family business being to slay vampires. Actually, as it turns out, the Hellsing organization is sanctioned by the Queen of England to actually deal with all the supernatural stuff that happens, and they're a secret organization. No one really knows about them. Hellsing is a story. The Hellsing organization is very much the monsters that fight the other monsters. They've got a vampire named Alucard, which is a popular name in Japanese vampire fiction because it's Dracula spelled backwards, and Dracula spelled backwards sounds really cool.
Yeah.
So they've got this vampire named Alucard that, for some reason, is under the complete control of Integra Hellsing, and she sends him out to fight other monsters. Early on, Alucard takes drinks the blood of Ceres Victoria, I think is her name.
Ceres Victoria, the police girl.
The police girl, and because she's a virgin, she becomes a vampire, because that's how it works in this universe, is you drink the blood of a non-virgin, they become a ghoul, basically a zombie. Drink the blood of a virgin, they become a vampire. And so Ceres becomes a vampire. And a lot of the story is about Ceres becoming this monster.
Right.
And then learning to deal with that.
Yeah.
And the TV series really dragged out that conflict. The OVA touches on it, but it doesn't drag it out the way the TV series does.
Yeah, it touches on it, and then it goes into the actual, kind of the conflict between the various factions that are going on. Yeah. The actual overarching plot between, and fights. And then it'll come back to how Ceres is dealing with all of this, and it's kind of cool to see.
Yeah, and honestly, in that particular conflict with Ceres, getting comfortable with being a vampire, is never resolved in the TV series.
No, it never
is.
Which
is one of my biggest problems with the TV series. A lot of this review is kind of comparing to the TV series because it was a much needed anime, in my opinion, because the TV series had such potential and then just didn't work out. Is there anything, Eric, in particular, you did not like about the TV series?
The divergence from the plot happens so soon. I mean, as soon as the Valentine's Brother mini arc is done, it no longer follows the plot.
I want to say that's like episode 6 or something like that.
I think it's probably 4 at most. I mean, it happens. Pretty much the first 3 or 4 episodes follow the OVAs. Yeah. Then, as soon as the Valentine Brothers are gone, it's done. Mm-hmm. You lose the whole major. The major's not even a character. The whole, how they have to hire these mercenaries, I'm pretty sure that's gone.
Oh, no, that's not in the TV series at all.
Yeah, the mercenaries are pretty cool characters.
They are, yeah.
One particular, the captain's a fairly major character for Ceres in the OVA series.
Yeah, it's a major, important development point.
So to lose all that, I think that's the biggest thing. The production values weren't nearly as good. One of my things I really like about anime is when they go all out with this high production values. The TV series kind of felt lazy there towards the end. It wasn't anything special.
Well, I mean, in the TV series, they have to make up a big boss for Alucard to fight, and it's some guy called Incognito.
Right,
that's his name. Yeah, and he, I think he has some kind of mind altering ability.
Yeah, he kind of gave me this He gave me the vibe of a kind of a monk-like Middle Eastern.
Yeah.
Well, it seemed like they kind of pulled a lot of Zoran's abilities off for him. Because she had some mind manipulation abilities too, but she was handled a lot better than he was. So I don't know. I feel kind of like like this version, it was clear that they knew where they were going with the story, what they wanted to do. When characters are introduced, it's always for a reason, and they're going certain place with it. Even though it's only 8 volumes, and where it ends, you're like, no! Why? No, why don't end it there?
Throw a big the end after that, like that's really the end. There's 2 more volumes, you just don't have it.
But even though that happens, you still know that there is an ending in mind. That there were places that they wanted to go for it. And by this point, Ceres has had her major development. And it's all kind of centered around, everything that's happened as far as her feelings toward protecting other people, the reasons why she became a police officer, the reasons why she had issues with drinking blood. Yeah. And they just...
It all comes together, and it's beautiful.
It's great. And that's what I really liked about the Ultimate series and the OVAs, is the fact that it just... It all makes sense together, and it's not just Ceres Victoria. All of the characters work together in this manner, I feel like. So, well, most of them. I still haven't seen the last 2 episodes, and it kind of feels like there are some characters that they were introduced that they haven't had a chance to explore entirely. But for the most part, they really had a good chance to kind of come together. And some people got killed off, some people didn't.
Yeah.
Things went really terrible for most people.
Yes, it's definitely much bloodier.
It's very gory.
I'm pretty sure the OVA is rated TVMA. I don't know what the TV series have even had a rating. They really didn't rate anime back in those days.
No.
But it was definitely tamer in that. And while, like Amy was saying, like everything develops and comes together really well. For me, the make it or break it point of that anime was, does Ceres's issue, do they become resolved? Because like when they introduce Ceres and they're like, she won't drink the blood, I'm like, I really want her to drink the blood and just become awesome. And
well, and I wanted her to too, but I wanted it to be for the right reasons.
Right.
And they make sure it's for the right reasons.
Right.
Well, honestly, if it wasn't for the right reasons, it wouldn't have been believable, and that would have been a big breaking point for me. But the thing is, yes, Ceres does it to a point where she becomes awesome, and that's like, if that didn't happen, I would have had to say this is bad.
Right.
And but just because that does happen doesn't make it good. There's a bunch of other stuff that happens in it does make it good. One of the things that's great about this series is that, you could say it becomes kind of a monster of the week thing, but every OVA you're meeting a new guy that Alucard has to fight, or Ceres has to fight. The Hellsing organization has to fight, and kind of in this style of a shonen anime where it's like, this is the next guy, and this is his special ability, or this is her special ability.
Only downside behind that, because the OVA show short, let's say,
they rush it.
There's very little character development. Pretty much the person shows up, Alucard and them fight, Alucard wins, then moves on to the next OVA. So that is slightly disappointing. Especially, I love the Rip Van Winkle character.
Yeah.
Basically, this woman, she wears glasses and has freckles, so she's kind of cute.
Especially in the manga.
And then she has a musket that she's able to control the projectile after it leaves the bullet and just basically wreak havoc with it. So she's seems like a pretty interesting character. Doesn't really get fleshed out very well.
She doesn't get much face time in the OVA, and I actually have read some scenes of her in the manga, and I remember really enjoying that. Even though I haven't read the whole manga, I mostly just read the parts with her in it. But I really like that. So
then the one who controlled that had the mind manipulation power. She even felt more fleshed out than Rip Van Winkle did.
They gave her more time because her stuff was kind of mixed in with Ceres' stuff.
Right, so she got more time, so you were able to fill out her character a little bit more. So I thought that was slightly disappointing. So the various villains get varying degrees of fleshing out. So that was good. One other thing, if I could complain about it, is they jump to this low-quality gag level of animation a little too often, and because the rest of the OVA production values are so awesome, at these low-value gag clips, it's jarring. I mean, if it happened once or twice, it'd be fine, but if they seem to at least have to throw it in 2 to 3 times per OVA.
Right, well, and it's something that came from the manga, basically, like, the end of a chapter of the manga, they'd do like a page where it was that style, and sometimes it was someone having a dream, sometimes it was just something wacky that happened. Usually it was kind of non-canon stuff,
right?
That would happen, and they just felt the need to put that into the OVA because they were trying to be really close to the manga. And I think that because they were trying to pack so much into every episode, they did more of those than maybe they should have.
Right, yeah. It obviously gives the animators a break, fill up 10 seconds here where they don't have to, like...
Yeah.
One thing, though, that I'm glad they had was Alucard's gun, the Jackal talking to him.
Oh, yeah.
The Jackal Willis.
Yeah.
And the Jackal Willis.
It was just... As he's
Willis
talking,
space now.
You're in Willis space now, and
that was funny.
It's clearly Bruce Willis, and they make so many references to American movies, which is another thing.
I was so confused.
That I really liked about the OVA is like the guy who made, or girl, I don't know I think it's a guy who made it.
I don't know.
Whoever made this is clearly a fan of Western culture and clearly knows what they're talking about when they're writing all these characters. He's got stuff from Catholic mythos that is accurate and makes sense when he references it. He's got stuff from Protestant, like there's one of the subplots is there's Protestants and Catholics hate each other. Yeah. And they're fighting constantly.
Yeah, their stuff is kind of fairly historically accurate.
Yeah.
So
unlike Evangelion, when it was thrown in with no understanding of it, Hellsing actually it's all correct. It's there. It's understood in how it's placed in.
It's hyperbolic, but it's there.
Yeah. And another great thing about the OVA that the TV series just never gets to is I think they touch on it maybe, but basically it turns out that the bad guys are Nazis,
right? And
so it's vampires versus Nazis, and if you're a fan of kind of exploitive type stuff, like if you watched if you saw the movie Grindhouse and thought it was great, if you want to watch Machete, then you love like the vampires. If the idea of vampires versus Nazis doesn't sound awesome to you, then you might not like this show. But if it sounds awesome, then this happens.
Definitely watch it. Yeah.
Yes, it's very good from that regard. You have the Major; he's kind of the Nazi leader who's he just wants war. He just wants.
He expounds on it a little too much.
Yes,
but that's okay.
Yeah, there's one. I think it's the second or third OVA, I think, where he just has this like 5-10 minute long speech on how much he loves
love war.
Yeah. That was okay. It was like the second or third time.
Yeah, that one was
same speech.
That one was okay. I thought it went out a little long, but it was like, you know what? That's okay. It's important to understand that he really, really likes war, or you're not going to get this character.
And then Dan's favorite one was where he's like, the London Bridge, burn it down.
Yeah, he's like, I want you to waste all of London. I want you to burn this down. I want you to do that. And then, like, people start asking him questions. They're like, what about the loo? Like, oh, burn it down. Oh, what about Big Ben? To reduce it to ashes. What about, this historical monument that may not exist in England?
You just realized that.
No, I realized that a while ago. And it's like, destroy it. So they keep doing this, and I'm like, I wanted one of the guys to ask him about a thing, and then he'd just go, paint it. And then they go, really? No, destroy it.
There's a theme here. That was pretty funny. It's like 5 of them, just one after another. It's like, it's just it's kind of funny, but it's probably one too long.
Yeah, it was a little long, but But you really do get a good concept of his character.
Yeah,
it's very consistent.
Yeah, I would say that about him. Is he's a very consistent character. So.
Yeah. And then like the other characters that are like, I actually kind of like Schrodinger just because he
grows on you.
Yeah,
so
he's just this obnoxious cat boy. I prefer if he was a cat girl, but I mean, he still works as a character.
Yeah.
But he's just like typical cat boy / cat girl kind of antics, but he has the ability to teleport because he is everywhere and nowhere.
Yeah. So I'm curious to see what happens to him. I definitely we need to watch the last 2 episodes of the OVA. Hopefully Funimation releases it. I don't know if there's a timeline or anything.
What ends up happening with it. So.
Oh, and another, and I think this is a fan favorite for a lot of people, is Alexander. Alexander gets much more fleshed out in the OVA, and he is with the Protestant organization. No. There's an organization called Iscariot.
He's a Catholic.
Or Catholic. I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't know how I forgot that.
I'm not really sure either.
I'm like staring at you. I'm like,
come on. Hellsing's the more Protestant organization, or Church of England, I guess.
Yeah, the Church. I mean, Hellsing taking place in England is Protestants. Then Catholic, the Vatican basically is where. Alexander's from.
And the Iscariot organization, I think, is really interesting. So that comes from Judas Iscariot, and they also call it Section 13, which is Judas was the 13th apostle, which is why 13 is unlucky. By the way, that's where that comes from. And the whole idea behind the Iscariot organization is it does all the dirty work of the Catholic Church, is the idea, and everyone who's in the Iscariot organization, especially Alexander, works under the philosophy that they want nothing more than to be a tool for God. They just want to... They know they're going to hell for this, but they want to destroy everything, and they want to do it for God.
So it's Alexander Anderson.
Yes.
Yeah, that's his name. Okay. Just making sure, sorry.
Yeah. No problem.
He's actually probably, besides Ceres, he's my favorite character. I would cosplay as him if
I would cosplay as Alucard if you do that.
Yeah. And then Amy will be Ceres. No.
Or Integra.
I'd probably go with for Integra.
Okay, Integra.
Probably
yeah, I think that'd be good. And then she can keep us from fighting each other.
That'd be awesome.
It's like, I'm not going for the police girl. Not for a while. Gotta get working out with those dumbbells a little more.
Well, that's me. I need to lose about 20 pounds before I could pull Alexander. He's a big, broad-shouldered guy.
Yeah, he is a big dude.
Well, I think I could pull him off. I got the short hair and glasses, too, to go with it.
Yeah, that's true.
So you'll need to get some those cards around.
We're losing focus for this table.
So we love the show so much, we'd be willing to cosplay as a character.
Right.
To be fair, we have this discussion in almost every anime we talk about.
I haven't noticed.
Do we really? Yeah. We have yet to cosplay as any of these characters.
It's nice to dream.
But yeah, no, I really... So the thing that I like about the Iscariot organization is that's kind of an old idea, is that Judas, in Catholic lore, Judas betrays Jesus, but the thing is God would, and Jesus does, in fact, know that he's going to. So if God is all-knowing and all-powerful, Judas was nothing but a pawn in this game that supposedly had to happen in order for Jesus to do his thing.
So basically. That's how they're viewing it.
And so that's where the birth of this scary. So, and that's what I mean when I say, like, this guy knows what he's talking about when he's writing these characters and in this setting, is like, I've seen that idea pop up in stories like Jesus Christ Superstar, but you wouldn't expect it to show up in an anime, and it does in this one. So I thought that was very cool.
Yep. So it's obviously really well thought out.
Yeah. So, and then I've brought the whole room down.
No, you totally didn't. You just said that you knew what they were talking about as soon as it came up. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you appreciated it, because I mean I had to have someone explain it to me, to be honest.
Oh, gotcha.
So.
Yeah.
Yep. So, and I think that's probably about all we have to say on Hellsing Ultimate.
Yeah,
at this
I think
point.
so.
Yeah.
It's definitely worth a watch. Some good.
If you get the Funimation release, check out the cast commentaries. It's very interesting.
Oh yeah, they have a lot of extras on these.
Yeah, there's a whole
Blu-rays.
Blu-ray disc dedicated to extras. They talk about how they developed, fleshed out the characters.
Oh, yeah.
Their personal opinions on where the characters are going to go. So it's an interesting watch.
Cool.
I know a lot of people avoid watching that kind of stuff. I think this is a release where it's definitely worth the time to see what the cast
I
has to
actually
say.
haven't had a chance to watch the extras yet, but I'm kind of looking forward to it.
I was kind of
love that
intimidated
stuff.
by the box because it's like 200 hours of extra footage. Like, jeez.
That's a lot of extra footage.
And yeah, I was going to say something, but I can't remember what I was going to say.
We all stared at you. And
I
you're
know.
Like, oh
I'm
no!
like, now I'm on
What?
the spot.
Nah, I think that's good. I think maybe we should end it there.
That sounds good to me.
We've had a good time relaxing, and we'll hopefully see you guys next month.
Hi there. I just had a few corrections and updates I wanted to make before we completely sign off this edition of the Otaku Objective. First of all, we'd mentioned Mary Elizabeth McGlynn, mentioned that she was a director or something of Silent Hill Shattered Memories. She is specifically the English voice director for Shattered Memories. Also, I couldn't remember what the name of Van Helsing was and where he originally came from. First of all, he is Abraham Van Helsing and not Vincent Van Helsing. I'm not sure why I thought his name was Vincent. I think I just like alliteration, and I think the name Vincent is cool. But he originally appeared in the original Dracula novel, and he is a doctor with knowledge of the occult. Basically, when one person first gets sick, he's the guy that says, hey, this might be vampires. It's this thing I heard of. And since then, he appears in various stories in pop culture as kind of a fixture of vampire lore. He's like the ultimate vampire hunter. And so, that's where Hellsing was kind of inspired. And speaking of Hellsing, I mentioned earlier there was some confusion whether the original manga author was a man or a woman. The original manga author and artist is a man by the name of Kuta Hirano, and so he is a guy. And also on the Funimation release of Hellsing, I mentioned being intimidated by the 200 hours of extra footage. I later realized it was actually 200 minutes, so it's far less intimidating than I originally thought. I don't know why, but 200 hours seemed completely believable to me to fit on 2 or 4, I think it's 4 Blu-ray discs. Maybe they could do that. Anyways, we were a little delayed getting this out to you guys, unfortunately. Right after recording, me and Amy were hit with the worst conflu ever, and so we were resting, recuperating. I had obligations at my day job I had to fulfill, and so this kind of got pushed back and pushed back. As a result, the Wolf Children event unfortunately has been canceled. We were not able to get enough people to make that happen, and we're really sorry we couldn't do that, and I'm sorry that we mentioned it in the podcast, so some of you may be hearing about it for the first time, don't get a chance to support it, and maybe we would have gotten a few extra if we gotten this podcast out sooner. But I really don't think we're quite popular enough to have pulled that off just yet. And but maybe one day we will be, and maybe one day we'll be able to throw events like this in the future, and I think that'd be really cool. The Madoka Magica video that played at NDK AMV Overload that we mentioned earlier in the podcast, that is available on our website now for download. All previous videos that used to be hosted on YouTube have been taken down from YouTube, and they're available on our website for direct download. Gotten a few copyright notices from YouTube, so I just decided to take them all down from YouTube. But we are going to have a new YouTube channel going up called the Otaku Objective, and we're going to start putting up Let's Play videos on that. We'll play a couple of video games, and you can hear our commentary during it. And we're just going to try that out, see how it goes. Hopefully it'll be pretty fun. You guys will enjoy it. And our next podcast will be out sometime in November, which is the month of Thanksgiving. So we will be reviewing Silver Spoon, which is an anime about learning how to farm. So we'll learn where all that tasty food we eat comes from. So we'll talk to you again sometime in November.